Alright, update on GMT. So we'll jump into the shorter time frame in just a moment, but first of all I wanted to update you on this macro bullish divergence that we were having. It seems like the oscillator is still diverging from the price, but I don't really think that this has much more validity if we do keep on coming down. The most bullish you could draw it to is something like this, and then you could argue that we would have bullish divergence. However, GMT is dropping down very strongly, and you can see this trend line comes right down to $2.15. If we do not hold $2.15, we could be putting in a massive landslide to the downside. On the logarithmic scale, this still looks pretty good. However, hopping into the lower time frames, it does seem like we should expect the worst. GMT has been hit very hard today, down 17% as of the time of recording this. This is obviously because Bitcoin is taking a tumble. If we look at Bitcoin's macro chart, you can see we had this fractal that was perfectly playing out from the last cycle, and we've now broken below the first major macro level of support. This looks like a huge break over a big period of time, but it's just the one day. We're coming down very harshly. I really don't like how Bitcoin looks right now. I really do think Bitcoin needs to bottom at 32.5, otherwise we could come down to 29. And what could that mean for GMT? Well, I have reset my chart because we have obviously broken out of practically everything to start with, and the only thing we're really running off at this moment in time is this trend line. Now, I've previously highlighted how GMT was perfectly supported by your 4-hourly EMA ribbons, and this is how we knew that we were breaking bearish, because we got in a trade, you know, we were sitting in GMT for the longest period of time. We started covering GMT so early around this region. I think a lot of people got in since we broke bullish around this region, but you know, we were making videos on it all the way back there. We were bullish on it because your 4-hourly EMA ribbons was such a perfect indicator to where the trend was going, and you know, we were bullish the whole time we were holding these EMA ribbons. The second, and literally I mean the second that we broke below them, we flipped bearish, which is a good thing because, you know, the trend was defined by these bounces and supports, and then we broke below it, rejected, double rejection and EMA ribbons on the 4-hourly flip bearish. So since then, I've been sitting on the sidelines for GMT. I still do not have any GMT at this moment in time. I took profits at 340 something. Oh, that's the wrong tool. But you can see that we've now moved down about 34%, so good thing we did get out the market when we did. I would still be looking to get into this at some period in time. I really don't think trading these altcoins, if you're new to the market, that is what I mean. If you're already in GMT and you've been in it for a while, I mean, obviously put your stop loss wherever you want. I'm not here to give you financial advice. I've already exited the market as I do believe it is breaking bearish. It was only 8 hours ago, not even 8 hours ago. I mean, it was only, what was this, 6 hours. This was the last 4-hourly candle. This has been open for 2 hours, exactly 2 hours. So 6 hours ago we got rejected, and we're heading down very fast. If we do not bottom at $2.17, then we could have a complete landslide for the market. And what's interesting about this is the way OGN previously works is you have an impulse, you have an accumulation range. You have an impulse, you have an accumulation range. If we flatten the data a bit, you can see impulse, accumulation range. And then we broke down. So we're now back in the previous accumulation range, which is not really a good sign. If we highlight this accumulation range, you can see this is a big area of support. So technically, coming into the much lower time frames, you know, if we did come down and bottom within this green box, that would really be ideal. Anywhere between $2.25 and $2 is where GMT needs to bottom. You can also see green Satoshi token, which is the currency of the STEPN app, is landsliding very harshly as well. This looks really bad because obviously GMT is also breaking down very harshly. Oh wow, this is not good. We had a fake out on your 4-hourly momentum indicators, meaning we tried to reset bearish momentum, and now we're coming back for another bearish wave. So I would be very cautious about trading GMT at this moment in time. On the daily time frame, very interesting, you're still supported by your daily EMA ribbons, which is why I'm saying, look, this is just one more reason why this big green support box between $2.20, or is it 222? Yeah, 222. So sorry, not 225. 2.225. So $2.22 is the first major region of support. If we do come down on the daily, you can see $2.16 is this trend line that we should really hold. Then you can see $2.14 is where your long-term moving average, I believe this is your 55 EMA. Yep, this is your 55 EMA ribbon. And then if we do break down below there, we only have the lows of the previous accumulation range to hold us up at $2. If we do not hold $2, where is the next price target? I would argue the previous accumulation range, and the previous accumulation range is down here at 90 cents before we broke above $1. So there's a plethora of places where we can bounce, but the number one important thing to take away is that if we don't bounce on this box right here, if we don't bottom in this kind of really greenish box, because I've got two boxes in here now, if we don't bottom here, then it's going to get very ugly. So I would really prefer to see GMT hold $2.16. However, basically $2 flat really should hold on the daily. If we see a breakdown from $2, we could get a throwback all the way to 90 cents. And bear in mind, these move to earns, they're purely built off hype and euphoria. Everyone a month ago, everyone in my Discord was saying, you know, please cover more GMT. Where do you think GMT is going to go? Everything was about GMT. What are people talking about right now? They're talking about Step App FitFi. It has only been a month or so since GMT has, you know, been charting. And already people are moving into FitFi, they're moving into these new projects. And the interesting thing about FitFi is since FitFi has topped out, people are now talking about, oh, have you seen GAL? Like, these move to earns. People come, people make their money, and they go and find the next move to earn with a low market cap. So is GMT, are these move to earns going to be able to survive in the long term? I don't think so. Could GMT survive over the next couple of months? Maybe, but it almost 100% depends on if Bitcoin is able to hold 32,500 today. If Bitcoin collapses below 32,500, in my opinion, it'd be moving to 29,000. Why do you care about that? It's a GMT video. Well, very simply, if Bitcoin moves down to 29,000, your GMT is going to get destroyed. This is why we're seeing GMT down 15.5% today, while we're only seeing Bitcoin down 3.5%. So be very cautious with trading these altcoins. I'm not in GMT right now. I'd really like to see it bottom in these regions, at which moment in time I'd be looking at Bitcoin, making sure Bitcoin also bottom, because if Bitcoin breaks below 32.5, your GMT is not safe. That is all I've got for GMT. I feel like it's much simpler, kind of just looking at these major areas of support. I haven't even included Fibonacci's in this, and most of the time you can see this backtested the 618, so this was valid. I could even say, you know, your 618 fib, $1.95, and then we also have strong support at 133. But I feel like these move off macro trends, and I really don't want to include that. So if you did, I really wouldn't include the 786, because this is such a gap between the data traded. If we do have a wick, do not be surprised if we come down to $1.95. $1.95 is the absolute last level, or $1.94 is the absolute last level that needs to hold for GMT. If we break below that level, it could get very ugly. To wrap up the video, also looks like we've got a inverse head and shoulders at the top here, which is basically a top signal. If we do extrapolate the price target of this, you can see, I imagine we might have already hit the price target on this. No, we haven't. Where would this take us down into? This would perfectly break us down into this, you know, big green box that I've talked about having a plethora of support. So I think we are going to be moving down to around the $2 region. That is just my guess for GMT. I'm not in the market right now. I'm sitting on the sidelines. I do hope GMT survives, because I'm not against making money. I just don't think that GMT is going to be around in the long term. However, I do like money. If GMT confirms that it has bottomed here, I would be looking to make a trade. But with the way Bitcoin's looking, keep an eye on 32.5. If Bitcoin breaks 32.5, your GMT is not going to be safe. That is all I've got for you today. I hope you found value in this video. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.